Hi, you're watching Young Female Entrepreneurs, the live stream that happens every Thursday night here at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern at ovaleye.tv/live. And tonight's episode was brought to you by, or is brought to you, I should say, in the present tense if I was a smart girl. Okay, so it's brought to you by Ovaleye, where we empower your home office lifestyle through web hosting, cloud services, and domain names. Visit ovaleye.com to buy your domain today. And by audible.com, get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/ovaleye. Over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. So, like I was saying, tonight's episode was brought to you by those sponsors, but it's all about Tori Molnar. She is a teenpreneur. So you've got your mompreneurs, you've got your fempreneurs, you've got all that funny little, jargon that's happening right now in the headlines. But Tori is 15 years old and she's an entrepreneur, and it's not like she just started it this year when she's 15. This has been years in the making, and she focuses on giving back or providing other teen girls with the tools to do the same in their lives. So I'm very excited to speak with her. She's overcome a number of obstacles in creating Utoria and building the lifestyle of her dreams, and she's going to be sharing with you how to overcome those obstacles, what it means to be a teenpreneur, how she actually came about doing that, and a whole host of other subjects. So I'm very excited to welcome her on the show. Now, she's someone that YFE actually featured about a little bit over a year ago. I think I have a screenshot of the feature. We did a little blog profile on her on the YFE website, and it was very well received. Everyone thought she was just absolutely amazing, and at the time I think she was like 14 years old, and so the company she started is called Utoria, and like I said, it's all about focusing on women. Those are wrong. My producer's putting on the wrong screenshot, so we'll get to it later on in the show. But anyway, so definitely stay tuned through the episode. It's about 30 minutes of this live stream. I am on the live chat, so if you're on the chat, introduce yourself. This chat, yeah. Introduce yourself and let me know a little bit about yourself, and I'll try and pick up as many questions as I can from the chat and ping them over to Tori so she can answer them. After this, you'll be able to watch all of the replays of the live stream. Tonight's episode, last week's episode with Joy Schaffler, who talked about PR and crowdfunding. That episode was awesome. Gosh, Joy gave so many great tips. It was episode 24, and you can get it on iTunes. There's a video and an audio option. If you're like me, I go on walks or I'm at the gym and I like to listen to kind of like business shows, business books, that kind of thing to get me motivated for the day. And so the MP3 version is really nice for that. But you can find them on iTunes by just searching for Young Female Entrepreneurs or going onto the youngfemaleentrepreneurs.com site or looking at ovaleye.tv. We've got past episodes there as well. So you can find this episode there, and we'll include all of the links about Tori that we're going to be talking about tonight. So make sure you go back to ovaleye.tv tomorrow or the next day to find out where's my Utoria, all that fun stuff. So before I welcome Tori on, I wanted to give you just a couple updates on what's happening with the YFE community, because we're doing a lot of fun stuff. Now, as far as tonight, this is the hashtag. We're at YFE TV. So if you're on Twitter, you can tweet about it. I have to admit, I'm not on Twitter tonight. So if you're talking to me and trying to ask Tori questions, make sure that you're over on the ovaleye.tv/live chat room to chat in the questions. Now, as far as the Twitter goes, we've got the Twitter chats. The next one is coming up on Tuesday, August 21st, and I believe that's this coming Tuesday. And it's at 11 p.m. Pacific in the morning, and then 2 p.m. on the East Coast. And again, those times have been really successful for us in the past. It's a great little break for you. It's about an hour or so, and we're talking about the lifestyle or the location-independent lifestyle that a lot of business owners, a lot of young women are interested in when they get into entrepreneurship. And so we're going to be discussing that in the Twitter chat. It'll be a lot of fun. Make sure that you show up, and you can find out more about that at yfe.me/tweetYFE or just youngfemaleentrepreneurs.com, whatever you want to do. So make sure that you like us on Facebook. And then finally, a couple little in real life events that are happening. If you're in the Seattle area, next Wednesday I'm going to be at the Seattle Chamber All YPN event, and I still have a few free tickets. So if you want to email Jen at youngfemaleentrepreneurs.com, that's my personal email address, you're welcome to reach out and say, hey Jen, I want to go to the Seattle Chamber event with you. just let me know. I've already invited some of my favorite YFEs that are in the Seattle area, but I'd love to meet new people. So just email me for that. And again, it's next Wednesday, and I'll have details over at the youngfemaleentrepreneurs.com site. And then in September 13th, is the YFE Los Angeles in Real Life Meetup. Now, this is hosted by Erin of Well in LA, and oh my goodness, her events always sell out. They're always amazing, and I am so excited to be able to attend it. So I'm in the Seattle area. I'm going to fly down specifically for Erin's event and support her and help her out in whatever way she needs. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, San Diego, like hours away, wherever you are, drive into the city. I'll be there for a day, and we can hook up for coffee or something like that. I'd love to meet you in real life. So that's just a little bit about what's going on at youngfemaleentrepreneurs.com. I could go on and on, but I don't want to, because we have Tori in our virtual green room, and she's just got an amazing amount of tips, resources, and just an incredible story to tell us all about. So just to give you a little background on who Tori is, she is a 15-year-old, like we were saying, 15-year-old Pittsburgh native who left behind the high school experience in favor of homeschooling so she could work full-time to build her entrepreneurial dream. In late 2010, she founded Utoria, a unique direct selling company for young women, which focuses on building key business skills and financial independence. Tori speaks at business conferences across the East Coast, motivating and inspiring people from all walks of life to pursue their goals no matter what obstacles stand in their way. Audiences are always wowed when they discover that this outgoing and passionate young lady has overcome cerebral palsy and uses the early death of her father to fuel her drive instead of hold her back. So this is an incredible young woman just from her bio. So I want to go ahead and welcome Tori onto the show. Thank you so much for being on Young Female Entrepreneurs live stream, Tori.
Thank you, Jen, for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you tonight.
Okay, so first of all, we have to bring this up. Now, this is a gorgeous, young, blonde Tori. She got on Skype tonight, and it was the funniest thing. I was just like, are you Tori? Because I've known, like I said, YFE covered Tori about a year ago, and she was always this cute little blonde girl. But now you look very mature, adult, tan, redhead, just gorgeous. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Like I said, you've supported me so much over the past year starting Utoria, so I'm excited to come back and kind of give an update just on what's going on.
Awesome. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about what Utoria is, just to get started with.
Okay, so Utoria kind of presents this unique opportunity for young women to start their own business but not really experience all the risks, and at the same time they can start this business where they have me and the Utoria team as well as other Utoria girls to kind of help them and guide them to their own success. But we make sure that it's customizable every step of the way for them.
Awesome. Now, as far as your business model goes, why did you choose to take your business in this direction where you're actually giving these young women the support, that type of a thing? Like we mentioned in the bio that it's a direct sales business model. Why did you choose to take it in that path?
Well, originally when I started Utoria, I started it because it was my freshman year in high school. All of my friends were looking for jobs while I was looking for a business to start. So samples started coming in from manufacturers for an online boutique that I was starting where I was going to sell fashion rings. And, my friends fell in love with the product, and I started selling the product at school and different things like that. So my friends would come up to me and ask me, Tori, how can we help you sell these? Or can you help us start a business similar to this? And at the time I was also reading Mary Kay Ash's biography, and all of the morals and, all the different things that she put into starting Mary Kay were really inspiring to me. And I realized that I could start a company where I could teach girls how to run their own business. So I started doing a lot of research and things, and most direct sales companies at the time were only teaching people how to sell their product. And that made me really mad because they have a huge audience that they're already serving. They could be teaching them so much more than how to sell a product. So I really wanted to focus on the education component that wasn't being offered anywhere else.
Okay, so let's go back. When you were reading the Mary Kay Ash book, how old were you?
I was 13 and a half at the time.
Why did you pick that book up? Why were you reading it?
It was kind of funny because my mom actually found it at a yard sale, and I was obsessed with business books. I loved reading business books. I'd read books from Richard Branson and, names I haven't even heard of, and, just some really inspirational things. And then she brought home Mary Kay Ash's book, and I fell in love with it. And I read it and it got addicted to it. It was like Twilight for the business guru. Like I was addicted. I couldn't put it down. I read it for literally 2 days straight and was done with it. And then I think I read it 3 times. The first time I just read it through. The second time I went through and took notes. And then the third time I went through and figured out how I could apply it to my business.
All right, so let's talk about why you first started in business, why you started selling the products. Because you talked a little bit about why you wanted to expand that and offer other teen girls the same experience. But why did you first start going into your school and selling different items that you loved?
Well, first of all, I knew that I needed a way to make money. I was 13. I was thinking about a car. I didn't want to be stuck in a position where, I would be 15, turning 16, couldn't afford a car. Even things like going and hanging out at the mall and shopping with my friends and things. I just wanted a way to make extra money. And I was really passionate about these fashion rings because they were so trendy, and I was like a little fashionista. I loved keeping up on all the trends. So I found out that I could personally communicate with manufacturers and both in China and in the US, but the cool thing was that they didn't know my age, so that was never a barrier because it was always online. So, I acted like I was just like everyone else, and they started sending me samples, and I just kind of fell in love with the selling of products, and I fell in love with the direct sales industry and the products that they offered. And for the longest time I did want to become like a Mary Kay representative or sell Stella and Dot, but I couldn't do that because in order to sign one of those contracts you had to be at least 18, so I knew it wouldn't work for me, and so I went out and created that for myself.
So why, okay, first of all, let's stop, because I embarrassingly admitted I don't know much about direct sales and what it is and that type of the entire industry. So tell us a little bit, for those who are watching, what direct sales is.
Direct sales is the companies that aren't actually selling from a corporate platform. Say when you go to Saks Fifth Avenue or Nordstrom's, it's companies like Mary Kay, Stella and Dot, Amway, the companies where there are people just like you that are having parties, that are social selling on the ground floor of the company and actually turning it into an income for themselves.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, as far as the direct sales and how you got started in that, like I just said, I don't really know what that is. How did you understand, okay, I'm selling these fashion rings, other girls are asking me how to do that? Why did you say, okay, I'm going to turn around and basically license this out and be able to teach them how to do it? Why didn't you just take them on as employees? Like, what was your experience in that? What led up to that point where you decide this is the way I'm going to take it?
Well, Mary Kay in her book talked about, as originally, she brought on 3 or 4 friends and they would sell products for her, and then she'd just give them, a little bit of money on the side, in exchange for their effort. But the reason I really did it was because at the time I had considered taking on my friends as employees, but being 15, 16, 17-year-old girls, it wasn't that I didn't trust them, but I knew that they had busy lives with cheerleading and sports and all these different things, and I knew that they couldn't commit, 110% to selling my products. So I really had to incentivize them more than just paying them an hourly rate. And I found that through the Mary Kay book that that's exactly what Mary Kay Ash did over the years is, she evolved into this direct sales company because she didn't start there.
I think that's insane. It's just listening to you. I mean, I meet girls like this all the time who are in college even, and they tell me about how they're, doing these little things here and there, or they'll be babysitting, or they'll be taking a job, working for Stella and Dot, like you were saying, and I'm just like, you could do so much more. You could do all of this. Like, they'd never even consider this, so I'm just kind of blown away of why you even considered doing this in the first place. Why did you pick up the Mary Kay Ash book? Like, all of the stuff that went into it, I think it's just crazy. So let's go ahead and move on and talk a little bit more about it. So like we mentioned at the beginning, by the way, if you're just watching right now, this is the Young Female Entrepreneurs live stream. It happens every Thursday here at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern at ovalite.tv/live. And we have Tori Molnar of Utoria, which is, I think it's myutoria.com, right, Tori?
Yes.
Okay, so perfect. So she's telling us about how she started her company. She's only 15 years old, and I am on the live chat. So if you have questions for her, make sure that you chat them in. Now, in the bio, we talked about how she has a couple obstacles. Tori, why don't you tell us about those obstacles that you had to overcome to start your business, if you don't mind?
I actually had to overcome a lot of obstacles when I started my business, but not just when I started my business, but in my personal life too. When I was 18 months old, my father passed away from a really tragic accident. And then 6 months later, I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. So I kind of, my mom never let me, think of myself as handicapped or, let me mope around just because, I was a girl without a dad. She always taught me to keep going and, I was perfectly capable and, my life wasn't going to end just because these things happen. So I was always kind of trained into that mindset, to just keep pushing forward. And, later when I became passionate about entrepreneurship, which actually happened pretty early for me, I would say 4 or 5 years old, I started my first company, which was selling candy at my grandma's open-air flea market. But pretty early on, when I became passionate about entrepreneurship, I learned how to use these things to my advantage rather than, kind of be scared about them and not want to talk about them and let them hold me back. So I had to overcome those obstacles personally as a child, but then when starting my business, there were a lot of different obstacles I had to face, like, not being old enough to sign my name on a bank account and not being able to get a loan and, just different things of being, 14 years old and trying to start a direct sales company. But each challenge, you see it, you face it, you figure it out, and you keep moving forward, and that's just kind of how I've faced everything.
I think that's awesome. I read something about your dad and I was just thinking that's insane. Not only for you that you overcame those different obstacles in your life too, and you're able to move on and be a happy, positive young woman, but I kept thinking, wow, your mom is amazing because she obviously, I could be speaking out of turn here and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but she raised a good daughter. Whatever she did she did well. Right?
Yeah. I like to think so.
I think your mom's on the chat now, so she'll have to, maybe that's why you're saying it, because your mom's on the chat. We'll have to follow up afterwards. So on that note, how influential has your mom been in your business?
If it weren't for my mom, Utoria would not exist right now. Simply put, I tell a lot of people I come from a very rural area. When I say rural, I mean very rural. My high school actually only has about 350 kids in it when I did go to public high school. So the mentality around here is oftentimes, you go to high school, you try to get into a good college, you try to get a good job, and, sometimes those things don't work out for you, and that's okay. You can, go work at McDonald's or, do any of those types of things. I'm not saying that's wrong, but, that's normally how the cycle goes here. And no one even really thinks about starting a business. There are a few business owners in our area, but a lot of times they own multiple businesses and have a sort of monopoly in the small town I live in. So it's not really common knowledge to be able to go out and start your own business, even in the small local area, let alone on a national level. So my mom never held me back. Like I said, my first business was at 4 or 5 years old. And at the time, my mom helped me make my business cards. She helped me set up my little stand and, put some decorations out and things to make it festive and fun to invite people in. And she taught me these things along the way. And, at 6 and 7 years old, I was talking contracts. And my parents owned companies, so I would be like, I'm going to dock your pay because you're sitting around. So it was just simple things like that where my mom was constantly teaching me how things worked in the business, and I constantly wanted to learn more. Like, it was like a sponge for me.
I think that's interesting. I just read an article coming out of Morocco where they have a huge youth unemployment issue right now, and the government's actually giving crazy incentives to these young people to start companies. They're actually throwing money at them saying, start these companies. And the young people in Morocco are coming back at them. This is what the article is saying, of course. The young people are coming back at them saying, no, it's too risky. I'd rather have employment. And so they were saying it's a cultural thing, and that they were raised to go and get a job. And I think we see some of that in the States, although I think it's changing. So I think that's a really interesting way, and that your parents brought you up basically, or your mom brought you up by teaching by example, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's fantastic. Now,
the other problem is in the U.S., my good friend Tori Johnson talks about this a lot, where people think that employment is so safe, but is it really safe? Because every week when that paycheck comes in, you have you take the risk of being fired and that check being discontinued. So is it really as safe as we all think it is, or is entrepreneurship where you really determine your own destiny the better route?
It's so funny that you mentioned Tori Johnson because my mom spoke at the Spark and Hustle tour, and
Hmm.
so I read her book, and you are featured in her book.
I am. I'm on page 183, I believe.
Crazy.
And yeah, and I started, speaking at Spark and Hustle last year in Orlando, and then I spoke again in Atlanta, and it was amazing for me because this year on the tour I actually got to speak in my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So it was really surreal for me because it was like, wow, look at how far I've come in the past year. But it was amazing. It was amazing.
Awesome. So now, okay, let's take it back just a little bit, and I need to read this to make sure I get this right because I've watched a couple of your videos, and you've said that you want Utoria to go down in herstory, I like that, as a company that helps change the way that young women think, earn, and learn. So, what has been your own experience in school when it comes to learning about entrepreneurship? Because, like we said in the bio, you've left traditional public school and you're now doing homeschooling. So, what has been your experience as far as schooling goes, maybe in public school versus homeschooling?
Honestly, it wasn't really that great. The only outlet I had in school to learn about entrepreneurship was really Future Business Leaders of America. And even so, the only way you could actually learn was from a book. And, I'm sure you know, Jen, because you are a business owner, that you can't learn certain business skills from a book. They have to be learned through experience. So it was frustrating for me because, I would go into the competitions and, I competed in business math and these topics that I had learned about my whole life. And, I would compete and I would do well, but I kept thinking, like, what are the other kids learning from this? Is this really going to help them go out and start a business one day? And oftentimes that answer to myself was no. So I think that there needs to be a lot more interactive components to these organizations that are being offered in schools today.
I think that's a good point, and hopefully someone is listening to the live stream and they're thinking, "Wow, Tori is really smart. We should incorporate that into our programs." So let's go ahead and move on now. Tiffany Silverberg, who is on the chat, she's an awesome copywriter. She was asking about specifically a little bit, I mean, this was earlier. She's asking about as far as, how do you recruit your girls? Are you still accepting people? Are you nationwide? That kind of a thing, which you've kind of answered. But as far as the recruitment part goes, how do you actually bring Utoria girls into the organization? What's the process for that?
To become a Utoria girl, all you really need to do is go and buy your startup kit, give us your basic information, and then from there you get to name your Utoria boutique, pick what products you're going to sell, decorate your catalog, and go through that process. So we really don't have a selection process. Everyone deserves a chance to be an entrepreneur, and it's not really our right to discriminate against anyone, for that opportunity. So we're very diverse. I mean, we have everyone in our company from, teen moms to traveling athletes to models, like you name it, Utoria has it. And it's really cool because, especially because we have such diverse girls, they all find something to learn from one another. And I think that's really amazing.
So now, as far as the girls go, you said teen moms and athletes, that kind of a thing. So these girls are actually replacing going to work for a movie theater or, I don't know, what else do teenagers do? Babysitting, for creating basically their own little mini companies with the help of Utoria. Is that kind of the idea then?
Yes, and it's so amazing. We did a soft launch in October, and it actually shut down in December when we went through our model expansion. But a lot of the girls were finding that through Utoria, within the first 2 months of becoming a Utoria girl, they had not only replaced their income from whatever job they were working previously, but they've added on to that tremendously too. And so it was really awesome for me to watch them, experience that financial freedom.
That's crazy. Now, okay, so this is further on in the no, I'll just go into the next question. So, as far as the products that you offer these girls, like you were saying, you started off with the fashion rings. And by the way, if you're watching the live stream right now, I am on the chat. If you have questions for Tori, just chat them in, and I'll make sure to ping them over to her so she can answer them right now, live and everything. Now, the products go. How did you choose them? Because you chose the fashion ring, you were a fashionista, and you're really marketing specifically to teenage girls. So, what does that process look like?
Well, before I tell you how we choose products, I should point out, because I'm sure a lot of people are confused about this, that Utoria actually does not manufacture and distribute our own products. We work with small businesses all over the country to give them brand exposure and education through our army of Utoria girls. We really focus on growing these small businesses versus marketing our own products. So the selection process kind of started happening, you said at first, we sold the fashion rings, but then the Utoria girls at the time, who I like to call the originals because they were really like the original Utoria girls before they even existed, would come to me and say, okay, Tori, we really like this product. Is there any way we can sell this too? Like, we know that you get rings from manufacturers. Can you get us this product from a manufacturer too? And they were learning those types of things too. So they would say, okay, we want to sell this product, and we'd add the product. And then they were like, okay, well, we want to sell this product, and we'd add a product. So I really designed the Utoria product line so that there's something in there for every girl to be passionate. And you really can't sell a product unless you're passionate about it anyways.
No, I think that's awesome.
Thank you. So the way we actually choose the products is, first of all, the company will send us samples of the product, and then we actually distribute those out to Utoria girls. We don't actually test them ourselves. And we collect feedback from the Utoria girls about what they think, and they ultimately get to decide whether we sell that product or not. And of course, there's some more financial commitment type things on the back end that happen. But it's really the Utoria girls who ultimately decide what's going to be in the collection next time.
It's awesome. Yeah, I can think of 100 other questions to ask you about how you structure that and how you keep in communication with your Utoria girls. But before I do, actually, I don't think I'll get to that tonight, so we might have to do some kind of follow-up thing later on. But as far as the speaking with manufacturers, because I think this is intimidating for no matter what age you are, and you were saying that it was nice for you to speak with overseas manufacturers because the age wasn't an issue because it was all online. How do you do that? How did you learn how to call up a manufacturer and say, hey, I want to sell your product, or help my girls sell your product? Like, what was that process like?
Well, at first I did have a lot of help from my mom. She would write me out sample emails, and then, gradually I would start doing it on my own. And she would just tell me, this is the information you need. Email them, tell them that you're from this company, what your name is, what you intend on doing with their product, and that you would like to partner with them, and that you want samples to try before you place your initial order. So then, almost every time, I don't think I've ever had a manufacturer reject me trying to sell their product. So every time they would email me back and say, okay, we need your resale tax ID number, and I would send that to them. And, we need your address, and I would send it to them. Sometimes some of the manufacturers, especially when it was a more higher priced item, they would want to see my brick and mortar storefront, so then I'd have to explain to them that we didn't have one of those. And those manufacturers we ended up not working with. But most of the others were pretty lenient about what happened. So then they just need that basic information. And normally, when it was in China, it took about 3 to 4 weeks to get a sample. But when it was in the U.S., it took me about 1 to 2 weeks to get samples. So then the samples would come in, we'd test them, and then we'd decide whether or not their products met our quality and, just different standards that we've had for our products. I mean, obviously now we really focus on the story and things that go into our products and the people that go behind them. But at the time, we were just really focused on quality and, really fashionable, awesome products.
No, that's awesome. Now, what are your plans after high school?
That's a really good question.
You're 15 now, so you still have technically traditional school. You still have a few years left, right? A couple years at least. What are the plans right now, I should ask?
Well, I'm going into my junior year of high school, so traditionally I would have to go start touring colleges this year. It's kind of intimidating to me, though, especially because I don't have very good grades right now because I've been focusing on Utoria.
Oh, I bet.
Well, I do the minimal effort, I guess you would say, just to kind of get through the classes because I've been working so much. I literally put in, 40 to 60 hours a week in Utoria, so it's hard to find time to do my schoolwork too. Right now, I think I'm on academic probation, but I'm about to get my schoolwork done, so that won't be a problem anymore. But I don't think I would go to college just because I've seen what I can learn outside of college as far as business, and I know that that's the field that I want to go into. So the only way I would attend a college is if I got some really spectacular scholarship offer.
It's funny, my producer is whispering in my ear that some of the most successful people that are out there, they didn't go to college. I mean, some of the most successful people didn't even graduate from high school. Not to say that, I know your mom's on the chat, not to say that that's something that you shouldn't do, but it's, so with that in mind, what do you say to Peter Thiel, what do you say to the whole, you shouldn't go to college, here, let me give you $20,000 to explore your idea, that kind of thing?
It's funny that you mentioned Peter Thiel, because I have actually been a Forbes magazine addict since I was probably like 12, 13 years old. I read every issue cover to cover. So I saw whenever he first launched the 20, I think it was called 20 Under 20 program, and I knew that I wasn't in the age range that he was looking for, because at the time I hadn't even started high school. So I personally emailed him and asked him to be accepted into the program, because I had this really great idea about Utoria. Of course, I never got a response, but I mean, Peter Thiel is a pretty popular person after Facebook launched, so, but I did make the effort to get into that program because I thought it was really amazing.
Yeah, how many young girls would even, do they know what email is? I think I'm a little out of touch with like 12-year-old girls. I'm sure they know what email is.
I think most kids my age only have email to log into Facebook and Twitter.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so all right. So the last question I wanted to ask you is, as far as your mentors go, who do you look up to, and who do you tell your Utoria girls? Suggest maybe these are the books you should read. These are the women who are our role models for this generation.
I have a lot of mentors and a lot of idols that I look up to. Obviously, Tori Johnson, we've had a really close, friendship and kind of worked together a lot over the past 2 years starting Utoria. And also Jen Groover, who's an internationally known entrepreneur based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's amazing. She's a product developer. She's creator of the Butler bag. So she helps a lot, picking products, because she can tell us, is this quality, is this, a great company, is the integrity good, and, all those different things. So she helps me out a lot with that. My mother, obviously, I wouldn't do anything without her. And also Allie Brown is a big one for me. And a few issues ago in Forbes magazine, Kathy Ireland was on the cover.
Oh, I love Kathy Ireland.
Yeah, so we started tweeting a lot, so she's been really awesome too.
I think that's my mom's thing. My mom told me to like her.
She actually started this really amazing business after she stopped being a Sports Illustrated model, so I really admire her. Peter Shankman, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he founded Haro, helpareporterout.com, and it's kind of this email that you get 3 times a day that gives you all these press opportunities that you can submit a query and really cool things like that. But I don't know, there's a lot of different entrepreneurs I look up to. I don't think I could list them all in a few minutes.
No, I get it. So, all right, so let's wrap it up. If there's a teen girl that's watching, maybe she's 12 to 18 years old, she maybe likes soccer, or maybe she's a teen mom, maybe she just wants to pay her way into college, maybe she wants to support her dance addiction. What would you tell her? Would you tell her if she's interested in starting something for herself?
I would tell her to do her research first, but I've seen situations where people do too much research, so don't spend too much time on it. Learn what you need to know, and then go out and implement it and learn as you go.
Good advice. Well, Tori, thank you so much for being on the Young Female Entrepreneurs live stream. I've really enjoyed following you over the last year. It's crazy how fast you've grown and just how focused you are. And the fact that you are 15 years old, it's insane. You're talking about reading Fortune magazine. That's crazy. I think I was reading, gosh, I don't even know what I was reading. Yeah, People. People. And it's funny, I grew up in an entrepreneurial household too, but I still didn't pick up the stuff my parents were reading as much as I probably should have. But let this be a lesson to all of you. So thank you so much. Tell us where we can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm probably most active on there. My handle is at Tori, Tori Molnar, Molnar. Or you can find me on Facebook, Facebook.com/Tori Molnar. And I'm also on Instagram. I love Instagram, at Tori all the time. So those are the 3 places that I'm most active.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much, and thank you to your mother, because I think she's been on chat for some time answering some questions about your organization. But otherwise, everyone, we've been watching episode 25 of Young Female Entrepreneurs with Tori Molnar. Make sure that you check out myutoria.com, at Tori Molnar, all of the places where she is online. Follow her. She's going to be doing some good things. So I'm excited to see where she goes in the next year. Again, episode 25. So if you're on youngfemaleentrepreneurs.com or ovalite.tv or iTunes, wherever it is, that's what episode this is. Make sure that you check out ovalite.tv. That's where we put all of the links that we've been talking about tonight. We'll make sure that we put the Help a Reporter Out link and all that fun stuff. So if you're trying to get some of the resources that Tori's been talking about, we'll have the links there. Until then, next week, we've got another live stream every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Make sure that you show up back here at ovalite.tv/live. And I hope to see you on the YFE chat on Tuesday at 11 p.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern. This has been Jennifer Dono with youngfemaleentrepreneurs.com. Thank you so much and have a great week.